Hello everyone, I am finally back with another Project Life process video for you. This is part 2 of the zoo trip that I took with my niece and nephew and my sister-in-law. This is the last part, or the last layout for my February pages, and so I'm excited to get this done and be able to move on to March. So the page protector that I'm working on for this is the back side of a Simple Stories page protector, and it has the 4x6 vertical cards and then the 4, I guess it would be 4x3 horizontal cards. So the card that I'm working on right now is the first of the horizontal 4x3s. So this is just a picture of my sister-in-law on the carousel at the zoo, and I've just pulled that piece of ephemera. I'm pretty sure it came from a previous kit, I'm just not sure which one, but it says "You are altogether lovely," and I just layered that underneath her picture. And I've added one of those freckled fawn puffy gold hearts, and I love those hearts so very much. I actually need to see if I can get some more because I am running out, but I'm just going to add a couple of pink enamel dots from freckled fawn as well, and then that card will be done. The the papers that I'm using on this kit are just cards that I have left over, mostly from prior kits. Because I trim them down to 4x6, I usually have a lot of cards left over every month. And one of the things I love about the hip kit main kits is that the papers tend to coordinate every month. So if I don't use all of my papers one month, I know that they will most likely coordinate with pages in the following month, and I can go ahead and tie them in that way. So that is what I do on this layout. Again, most of the papers that I use are from older kits, but it just adds a different look to them, even though they all kind of coordinate. So not all the papers are the same on this layout, but they don't all come from the same month, but they all tie in together. So this card, I'm kind of repeating the same design element that I did on the previous card. I've got that trimmed down smaller picture, and then I'm going to go ahead and add that square ephemera piece. And that ephemera piece is from the ephemera kit that came with February's. And I'm not really sure what it is. It says introduction, and it's got kind of a pink and blue bullseye kind of looking thing. And I used it for no other reason than the colors were perfect. I think it really helps to tie in the colors. There's a lot of pinks and blues and some yellows in this layout. So I think that it just worked really well with this. I ended up pulling a gold tag chipboard from the kit this month, and I think that it just kind of perfectly fills in that leftover space right there. So I'm just trying to figure out what to do with that because it obviously needs something. So I pull a tiny word phrase, and I just put that on there. I think it says "Be awesome." And then I'm going to grab my Chamel wood buttons. I'm really trying to work my way through them. I do love the buttons. I didn't know if I would, but in order for me to use them, I've had to pull off the foam backing. So I think that it's too much bulk in a Project Life layout if I don't. So I've been pulling the foam off of them, and that's really worked for me. I really love the way the buttons add just that little extra something to the layouts. So like for this one, that blue button pulled in perfectly the bowl from the center of that circle, and it just tied in really well together. So I'm just going to set that aside and let that dry for a minute, and then I'm going to work on the first of the 4x6s. So this is a picture of my niece and nephew. They're playing on the playground at the zoo, and this was just a wooden pole with a statue of a pelican on the top of it. However, when I took the picture, it kind of cut off half of the pelican's head, so you can't really tell it's a pelican, but oh well, it's a cute picture anyway. So I actually could have probably trimmed that off and it wouldn't have made any difference to that picture. But again, these are papers from the older kit. I'm pulling in that triangle paper again because the colors are perfect, and I'm going to back it with that blue and white polka dot paper. So I'm going to grab my Tim Holtz Distress ink, and that is I think it's Broken China, I think, and I love that pretty blue ink. So I'm just going to go ahead and pull that in here and ink up the edges on this paper, and it just really brings the blue, makes the blue really pop. So I love the way this card comes together. My nephew has on a bright yellow shirt, and he does show up in a lot of the pictures on this layout. So I wanted to be able to pull in some of the yellows as well as the blues and the pinks. So I thought I would grab some of my washi and maybe pull in the yellow that way. So it's kind of subtle, but it's still pulling in the yellow. So I end up using this yellow floral washi tape that I have that I love. This is one of my favorite washi tapes, and I tend to use it a lot. But it just is, again, that subtle pop of yellow down there at the bottom so that I can bring in yellows and it doesn't look so overwhelming, because yellow can sometimes look overwhelming if you try and pull it in that way. So I found this little yellow heart on the chipboard stickers. So I'm just going to add this here. And again, it just needs something there. So I'm going to pull a tiny word phrase that says, "Happy you are mine." So I'm going to add this on there. I'm going to fishtail the end of it, tuck the end of it underneath the heart, and then that card will be done. So super easy, super cute. I apologize for my camera cuts out after I finish this card, and you'll see in just a second, but I had set aside all of National Scrapbooking Day to do my best to complete my February pages. So I am the biggest Barry Manilow fan in the world. I adore him. And so for National Scrapbooking Day, I downloaded his new album, which is, This Is My Town, I think it's called, Songs of New York. And I downloaded that CD and I had it cranked up. And I was just jamming, and I did not pay attention to the fact that my camera turns off like coming up in just a second. But I know like some people think that like jamming out to Barry Manilow is an oxymoron sometimes, but I'm telling you guys, it's possible. It is possible to jam out to Barry Manilow. I do it all the time. So that is what happened here. And I didn't hear the camera go off. But all you really missed was just me trying to figure out what to do with this 4x6 layout. So I pulled this piece. Again, it was from another ephemera kit, from a prior kit. And it's a gold and white swirled photo frame. And it had, what does it say on it? "You always make me smile." So it's just a picture of my niece and nephew eating their snacks at the zoo. So I thought it would be kind of fun to pull in some gold to kind of tie in with the gold puffy heart sticker that I used before. And I used gold on a couple other pages. So it just kind of pulls in some gold as well. So I'm going to grab some black and gold washi tape, and I'm just going to layer those on the bottom of this card, just like I did with the previous card. Again, it's just repeating of the elements that I'm using, kind of using them in the same way, just so they all kind of tie in. So I reach into my stash, and again, older hip kit, and I find that ampersand, and I really want to use it, but it just doesn't work for this card because it's still the same golden white swirl as the frame, and they just blend in. There's not enough definition between the two to use it. It's just a wash. So I don't end up using it, no matter how many times I move that picture around. It just doesn't work. So I'm going to grab one of the One Canoe 2 rub-on butterflies that I have left from, I think it was the January kit. And I struggle with this butterfly. I cannot get the backing off of him. I try and try and try, and finally I put it aside and just move on. But I can't get the backing off for whatever reason. I don't know why. So I'm going to struggle here just a little bit, and then I'll finally get the backing off. But I think with the colors of him, he just works perfectly with this card. Ties in kind of the gold and the black color. And I have a lot of these rub-on butterflies left from that kit. I don't know why. I feel like I use them a lot, but I still have a lot of butterflies left. So he tends to work perfect on this card. And then I found a black and white striped heart that I'm just going to add here again, just to pull in the black and white. And I think that looks really cute together. So that card is pretty much done as well. And then let's see. So the next card is going to be a, proof that you can jam out to Barry Manilow. But anyway, so this is another card that, or another paper from an older kit. But again, it's the pinks that I need for this layout. So I'm adding these two pictures of animals, and yeah, that picture doesn't work on there, but I'm going to add those 2 animal pictures. I've got Komodo dragons and I've got some flamingos that I'm going to go ahead and add to this. And I like doubling up on those because I didn't want a ton of animal layouts on this spread, so I just kind of doubled them up, just trying to use up some of those animal pictures that I have. So I trimmed them up so that they would fit on here, and I'm going to reach for some of the branding strips that I have left. I always keep my branding strips. I love to use them a lot of the times because some of the branding strips are completely different from the papers that they came on, and I like that you get a little taste of a different paper. And then a lot of times they're the same paper, so you have a smaller strip of paper. So I just like being able to use the branding strips. I save them from all my papers. So I'm going to pull in these 2 branding strips, and they're going to pull in the pinks and the dark blues from this. And I'm just going to go ahead, and I end up fishtailing the ends of them and just using them as little banners up there at the top. And it's just exactly what that spot needs. It doesn't need, like, I don't have a huge spot up there, but I've got enough that the empty space up there bugs me. So I'm just going to go ahead and use these tags to get rid of that space. So I'm using the dark blue and I'm using the pink, and I'm just going to layer them up. I'm using that same Broken China Distress ink and just inking the edges. It doesn't really make a difference on the blue one. You can't see it at all, but on the pink one, it kind of just adds a little separation there between the 2 colors of the pink. So I'll just layer those up. Yeah, why I did that, I don't know, because you can't see it at all, but oh well. So I'm just going to layer those up and trim them down, and then add a tiny staple there. So I'll just tiny attach that. And then I need something else to go on top of it. And so I'm looking through my ephemera, or the chipboard stickers, trying to find something that works on there, and I don't really find anything that works. So I'm going to end up pulling in again one of those Chamel buttons and jamming out. Yep. So there's one that's kind of pink and blue, and it just works perfectly on here. So I'm going to again pull off the foam backing and just glue that on there, and then that card is done, and it looks really cute the way that it came together. I just really like the pop that the button gives it. I think the button is just the perfect finishing touch on that. So I just like the way this card came together. So I'm going to go ahead and then, what do I do next? I don't remember which card I work on next. Oh, I think I've only got 1 left. 2 left. Okay. So I'm going to pop this in the page protector. And again, I don't normally put them in the page protectors as I go along. I kind of wait till I'm done to do that. But because I'm using a page protector that I don't normally use, I just kind of wanted to keep track of where I was at. And so I just kind of did them as I went along. So, oh, I have 3 cards left. Sorry, guys, I thought I only had 1. This card ends up being my absolute favorite in this layout. I always have one that I just love and one that I don't love, but this one ends up being my favorite. And this, again, is a paper from an older kit. This is a picture of my niece and nephew. And again, I cut off the top of this polar bear's head, this poor polar bear. But at our zoo, we have this polar bear where you can stand and be measured, you know, how tall you are to this polar bear. It's kind of a rite of passage for every child that goes to the Denver Zoo to stand up next to this polar bear. I have pictures of my kids when they were little with this polar bear. It's just, like I said, a rite of passage. So we wanted to make sure and get a picture of my niece and nephew with it. But I found this tag. I love this tag. It's yellow and white striped. And again, this card is predominantly yellow, which I love. Just something different than the pink and the blue. So I layered this tag on top of the picture. And then I pull it from my stash. And I know this came from another kit. It was this one. Okay. So it came from the January ephemera kit, and there's that little tag, and it says, "You make my heart happy." And I love it because it's got 2 little horizontal slits on the top. You can see right there. So I was trying to figure out what to do with those, and I thought that I could cut this branding strip small enough to fit through the little slots there and make it so that it kind of hangs underneath the picture. And so I'm just trimming this down so that they fit in the slots, and I'm bending them up, and then I'm just going to end up gluing them and then stapling them, I think. Yeah, I staple it. And then I just attach it underneath the picture, and I love this look. I think it just turns out so cute. And because I couldn't really figure out what else to do with those little slots there. I was like, well, I don't know really what those are for. But again, it came together perfectly. I'm like, oh, maybe that's what they're meant for. But I'll just end up gluing them down, and then, like I said, I'll staple them so that they just kind of hang underneath that picture. And it looks like it's just a sign hanging there, like it's always meant to be there. So, yeah, I think it just is super cute. So I'm just adjusting it, making sure that it looks like it's hanging perfect. And yeah, it just turns out really cute. Can pull in the pink from that by the little tabs. If you guys really know what was meant to go there, leave me a comment and let me know, because I really had no idea what to do with those little slots. I don't know what they're really for, but that's what they're for on this card. So again, there's those Hazelwood One Canoe 2 butterflies that I love, but I just have so many of them. So I thought that on this card I could use up 3 of them. So I'm going to go ahead and put that big red butterfly there. And then I'm going to pull in 2 of the smaller ones and just layer those up on the tag. And I think it just turns out really cute. Like I said, I just love the way this layout came together. And I was able to use 3 butterflies on this layout. So 3 more butterflies used. Again, I can't find my popsicle stick. I don't know where it went. I have no idea. I have like 50 of them, and I could not find a single popsicle stick to do my rub-ons. But these rub-ons come off so easily that I was able to use it very easily with my pen. So I just used my pen cap and rubbed it on there, and they came off perfect. So now that I think about it, I should have probably done something with that hole in the tag. I just kind of left it. It would be really cute with some twine in there. I may go back and do that. I may go back. But anyway, so that one is done. So I'm going to go ahead and move on to my next one. I've got the 2 4x3s left. So I've got this one picture of my niece on the carousel. So I'm going to go ahead and trim that one down. And this card I think turns out really cute too. And I trimmed down as much of the card as I possibly can, because obviously I love to embellish, so I want to be able to embellish on the card as much as possible. So I trim her down, and then I add this pink strip, and ultimately the pink strip doesn't need to be there because it almost completely gets covered up by the time I complete this card. But my intentions were good when I started the card. I found a piece of ephemera that I really wanted to fit on here and make work, so it ended up pushing her picture over to the left and covering up that strip. But oh well. I play with this. I love that little heart, little piece of ephemera there, and I just don't quite know how to use it. And I wanted to use it on this, but it's just way too big. It's way too big. But I find that little yellow rose, and I think this works just perfect with this. So I'm trying to figure out how to lay it on here to get the most of the rose on there without cutting off a lot of it. So I'm able to squeeze pretty much all of it on there. So, but again, I have to push my niece's picture all the way over to the left, and it covers up that pink strip. But oh well, you can see it just a tiny bit. So I guess it adds something, right? It's just adorable. And then I pull in a word phrase sticker, and this one says, "I love you every day." So I'm going to go ahead and just layer those. And I like to cut apart my word phrase stickers if they don't fit. So I'll just cut them apart where I think it's appropriate and just make them work for the space that I'm working on. So I'll just distress the edges of that one, and then that card is done. And that was super simple. And I don't end up using, I didn't think so. So the last card that I'm going to do is a picture of my niece and nephew. I've got one more picture of the 2 of them, and that's obviously going to go in that bottom corner. But I use this paper that's got the little word phrases on it, and my intention was to kind of highlight the word phrases on there, but I couldn't cut the paper in a way that it really worked. So they are, I think I'm able to leave the part that just says "love you." I think that one on the bottom left, the little strip says "love you." So you can still see that when the card is done, but I'm not quite sure what I want to do with it. I know I need something on there. So I grabbed that piece of ephemera, and that's from the chipboard kit, or the chipboard stickers in that kit. And it just says XOXO with some hearts. So I just put that on there, and I'm going to add of course, the Freckled Fawn Puffy Heart. Yep, love them, love them, love them. So between those and the little tiny sticko hearts, those are my favorite hearts. I just love using those two all the time. So that will pretty much complete my layout. So when I look at this, I realize I've got way too much yellow on the right-hand side. So I do end up switching the cards around. So just so that it kind of flows a little bit better. I normally don't really care how they come together. I just kind of put them in and just leave them, and however they are, they are. But this one just had way too much yellow on the right-hand side. So that completes this layout. If you guys have any questions or comments, leave them for me below, and I will see you guys next time. Thanks for joining me. Bye-bye.